Welcome to CNT Collectibles MC. Hope you're doing well. This is your weekly. Yeah, it's been a weekly actually. I did 2 weeks in a row here. Not too bad. Not too bad. Sports Card Chart Blast. We're taking a look at the price action of our favorite collectibles. Undervalued, overvalued. What I think, what you think. It doesn't matter. It only matters what the market thinks overall. Price is truth. I think I said that part already. So whatever. 2 weeks in a row and I'm still rusty. There's no hope for me here. So anyways, we'll start off with the indices, some of the risers and fallers in the four major sports, and then break down a few individual players respectively. The SCI 500 index continues to go south for the win, dropping another 1.7% for the week. This does track the real world stuff just a little bit here, as we are seeing the risk assets. Yeah, they're still lagging the value stuff for the year. So there's cards that are working, there's stocks that are working, and we'll just try and find a little bit of both. All right, in baseball, Derek Jeter, Vlad Jr. getting a little bit of love. Acuna, Ohtani, and Juan Soto are some of your risers here. We are looking again for something with a little bit of volume. Number of cards sold, at least 20, and with a dollar limit of about $40. Filters out a lot of the $1 and $2 cards that do move pretty well, but we're not super interested in them at the time. So some of the big dogs again getting a little bit of love, which is a nice thing to see. Bryce Harper coming off a bit here, and Ken Griffey Jr. Another one of your followers. So Bryce Harper, we looked at him last week. He was getting into rarefied air, running out of buyers, and looks like that is he's coming back to earth this week. Gravity will take hold at some point. What goes up must come down. In football, Justin Fields looking somewhat competent here, and added another weapon in Chase Claypool, Clay Chasepool, related I think here. Jerry Rice, the Air Bear, and a bunch of Josh Allens are your risers. Some of the fallers are Ellinger, who had a nice pop as of late here, but again, what goes up must come down. There's going to be some symmetry to that. Joey B, a lot of Joey B, and a different version of Air Bear, and Jalen Hurts taking it on the chin just a little bit here. Kobe, Darius Garland, Luka Doncic, Zion Williamson, Cade Cunningham, and another Luka. Those are your risers. Luka getting some love. He's really, I don't know, in terms of scoring at least, might be the best player in the league thus far. So Kobe, Kevin, Zion, Scotty Barnes, and Ja on the downside there. In hockey, not a whole lot going on, so we can get done on one slide here. So Caulfield and Martius, whatever, you got a Kaprizov on the way down here, and he was a riser last week. So he's trying to break out, and he came back just a little bit. Could be a little bit of a retest, but he is a buy on pullbacks for the most part here. We're going to do Bryce Harper again for some reason. All right, let's get to the stuff here. So adjust the screen just a little. All right, so this may not be one of the cards that are on the falling list, but I would expect to see it there soon. And if it's not, so a couple of sales push it to all-time highs right around $200. We think that under $100 is more your price there ideally. I don't know if 50 is the number, probably about $75 here, but yeah, that is the Bowman Draft base. So not a huge card of his or whatever, but is one of the ones that is that's taking off the most here. But again, there's a couple of people think that's the price. A lot of people think that's sub $100 of the price. So leave it alone for now. The Topps Chrome Refractor also breaking out a little bit here. And again, when you get up into this area here, he tends to get met with selling here. Right now, he's just hyper relevant. He's front and center, and when he drops off the radar a little bit, then he should come back to earth. And again, this is not at least not the spot where you buy here. So Kyle Tucker, a player having a nice postseason here. You can see some of his cards are moving as well. So Topps Chrome base up in percentage terms pretty well. It's a cheap card here. So Heritage Auto in the Bowman base getting a little bit of love here, and again, hyper relevant. Not the time to buy a lot of these players here, even if they're cheap. I mean, Tucker, if you throw down $20 or something like that, I mean, you could have some fun. I bought a Tucker recently, and really the card was sitting at the same price as it was a year ago. So I'm not sure there's a ton of money to be made on that one. It's just, what do you think of those long-term prospects? And then you can kind of pick out the price. Still cheap, probably not going to hurt you. Kyle Schwarber, having a great playoffs here. This is his Topps Chrome rookie autograph, sitting at the top of his range. So again, just wait, let it fall, let the series play out this week, and then start looking at these cards if that's what you want. But when they're super relevant, it's not really the time to buy. JT Realmuto, then this is what happens. So at some point, they just fall off. You just kind of run out of buyers, and here you go back into an area where there's some more buyers. And so we covered catches this week in our long-term, kind of in our homework series or whatever, putting together our shopping list. And he's just outside of guys like Yachty. Look at Maurer, look at Posey. He'd be the next guy up for the Hall of Fame, and so Thurman Munson, throw him in there as well. And so again, he's kind of on that outside looking in, but he's got a few more years to really get it going here. He won a Gold Glove, and that could be the first of a few, which will really bolster his case here. So obviously, a target, but not a high end target or anything like that. And so his price is coming back into an area where it's like, all right, if you're looking for a JT Realmuto, you're probably getting pretty close at least here. So Yadi Molina sitting at the bottom of his range if you go back as far as we can go back, which is the middle of 2020. I'd like to see a longer term chart on this one, but whenever we've gotten to this area before, kind of that 250, 265 area, that has been a buy, and you can see there's more interest picking up here as he is retired, and people are starting to look at, all right, what are his long term prospects? And it's like, yeah, Hall of Famer. So getting into an interesting buy spot. That's that PSA 10. You can get it a heck of a lot cheaper in lower grades or raw, obviously. So Buster Posey breaking his uptrend, but kind of similar to Yachty, getting into an area where buying has picked up in the past. These have been one-offs. There's a little bit more action this time around, and so I think that sub 90 is probably what you're looking at here. I like the wrapper, so you get like a chrome refractor image of his card, so the wrapper redemption, which you can get raw for roughly the same price, maybe more interesting card for Buster Posey, but so his irrelevant period begins for the next couple of years, and it's a great time to probably pick him up. And I think again, sub $90, that looks like a great price. He wants to head down there. Joe Mauer, his top's base in a PSA 10. Not a whole lot of these out there. It's not a gold version. The cards were just gold, sitting at the bottom of his range here. Now you can get his chromes. His chrome PSA 10s go for quite a bit more, $350 or something like that. You can buy them raw for $10 or $15, and maybe that's the way to go on that one. Thurman Munson, a lot of sideways action here. Those Yankee fans, they're going to keep that price up on that one here. So if you're able to get it closer to $500 in a PSA 8, the Rookie Stars card, and then that's probably closer to your price. Right now, not much to do with it except watch as he sits in the middle of his range. And Mike Trout, yeah, all right. So I've got a couple more relevant current players here, and I think I have a couple more catchers to finish up with here. So a little bit out of order. Yeah, that's what we do here. So anyways, downtrend broken. Now we're in a consolidation phase. That $1,500 area is kind of important. That was your spike low. Market remembers that a little bit, and you allow buying back in here. So again, it's got to hold this. Otherwise, you're probably looking at $1,000, and then even before the giant run up, you're looking at maybe $600 or something like that, and that may be the ultimate price. So right now, you buy lightly. If you're doing multiples of these, if you're looking to flip trade or whatever, then you peel off under the recent lows here at $1,500. But for now, you buy with that as kind of your stopping point, but that's not how cards work. You're buying one, and so it's like, all right, you know what, long term, you might want to wait, but this is about as good a price as we've had for a while at least. Juan Soto in the Topps Chrome update. All right, $120 price target. Just looking at this reference point previously, and here we are. Last week we were looking at $130. It's like, maybe it's close-ish or whatever, and so $10. So in percentage terms, big deal. In dollar terms, like it's really not that big a deal overall here. So bottom of his range, $120. Kind of your line in the sand. See if we can get Soto going a little bit here. And if you look at his pink refractor, a lot of buying. People really like this area. So when we look at these reference points, they do mean something. People remember price. Price has memory for the most part. So that 650 give or take range. There was a lot of buying, and it found it again. A lot of buying. People are like, oh yeah, that seemed like a good price before it ran up, and so here they are. And so we push it up a little too much too quick at that 850. That's probably not a number right now that you're looking for. But again, these reference points do mean something. So when you look at those other charts, they're coming into the same kind of area. It's like, all right, that could be a decent spot to start picking some of these off here. So yeah, I've been missing. I've been trying lately and missing on that one, but I'll keep trying. So all right, Derek Jeter, that was another one of your risers here. So he's sitting at the bottom of his range, getting a little bit of a pop here. So again, if you're looking for that, was that the foil PSA 8? About as good a chance you've had for a while, but that trend does remain down. So what is the catalyst that really gets this thing going? It's like it's not really there for the most part. I mean, how many people are there? They're just coming in saying, "Oh, got to get a Jeter." It's like, hey, either you want Jeter, or you kind of don't at this point here. So. We'll see how that plays out. But again, bottom of the range, so there's some meat on the bone in that one here. But that trend is down, and ideally you wait for some sort of breakout, or it's just below this reference point here. So it's really difficult to say, what happens on this one. So all I will say, I guess, is continues to grind lower. And there we go. So Griffey was another card that was off, and so you can see this wide reference point here and sneaking back into it. And so I think if you get back down to this recent sale closer to $1,000 or whatever, it's maybe maybe your price on that one. All right, promise you a few more catchers because I had these out of order. So Johnny Bench coming off the top of his range, bottom of the range around $1,000 is a better idea for that. I think that's that PSA 8 at around 1650. So again, we're looking for $1,000, which is not an insignificant move down from where we're at here. And Mike Piazza. A lot of buying in this range, snuck into it real quick, and now he's getting some love here. So again, these things do matter. This is chopping, this is a mess, but that's pretty controlled, and it's a nice tight little range that you can use for a reference point here. Something like this, it's too wide and it's volatile, ain't part of it. So again, any pullbacks to $150 or something like that on that Bowman PSA 10 look like a decent buy. And Ivan Rodriguez, bottom of the range, ripping. So we're getting up to the $50 there. Base PSA 10, so we're sitting at 45. Maybe get a little bit cheaper, but you know what? Hall of Famer Pudge. You just under $50. Why not just take a shot here? All right, Justin Fields, looking competent here. So a lot of buying in this area here, and that pretends some sort of sea change here. So this downtrend, you seeing some love here. So on pullbacks, maybe a bit of a buy as long as he's able to keep playing well here. So we've got a little bit of room here. Call it $85 or something like that. So again, speculation play, but he's playing well at least here. So Josh Allen also playing well, but his trend broke out to the top, and when you don't hold that, those fake moves turn into those false moves turn into fast moves. You go the other direction pretty quickly, and that's what we're seeing. So back into an area, if you've been looking for this card, that is probably about as good a price as you're going to get in the near future. And two is back, and he's playing pretty well. So bottom of the range, and volume starting to pick up a little bit here. So a couple more weeks doing what he's doing, that is playing well, and we could see a move back up to the top here. So yeah, interesting enough here. When it gets much lower than this, it snapped up quickly. So kind of your price for now here. See McSee adjusting well to his new home. There was a pop on the move here. But it's getting rejected at recent resistance here. So that bottom of the range, $65, probably interesting spot. If he's able to keep it going, then that could work out very well. Derrick Henry also playing well here, and now he's starting to get back into a previous reference point. It's very loose. This entertainment purposes only, man. I don't know when something is volume is this light, like who the heck knows, right? So works a little bit, I think, but yeah, getting into an area where it seems decentish if that's what you're looking for here. So 200. And honestly, if you get closer to 125 or something like that, it's like that could be like a really good deal if you're patient on that one here. The Air Bear continuing downtrend. Now he's just puking at this point here, so there could be a little bit of a throwback. But for the most part, it's like, yeah, just kind of leave it, watch, and see what happens here. All right, Michael Jordan. This is the PSA 8. I always like this card. This is kind of what got me started into this. I mean, I've been doing technical analysis for decades in the real world, but I was having some fun in 2020 as well, kind of the summer. And then my son and I did a video, and we put it was for the Super Bowl. We just used this chart because it was so parabolic. It was one of the more parabolic things I've ever seen. It's like, oh my gosh, what a joke. So I put out a video right here. So did the Jordan bubble just pop, and that should take down the rest of the market? And that turned out to be a pretty decent call here. Now on the way down, I didn't know where it stopped. I'm like, hey, could it, we look for at least 14 or 15. It got some bounces in that area, and then it's like, all right, look for 10, and now we're sitting at 6. So the trend just remains down. Again, here's your previous reference point where buying could step in, but there's been buying all the way down here, so it's really tough to say, this is it here, because the price keeps getting pushed lower. But they're respecting this, the $6,000 area pretty well here. So maybe dip your toes in or something like that. So again, it's difficult. If this was a stock, I'd say I'm going to buy half a position and get started, and buy more if it dips down a little bit. You buy half a Jordan, and all of a sudden that PSA becomes like a PSA -3. So can't buy half a card. Sorry. All right, Magic Johnson, Bird, Irving, coming into an area of support. Might be time to buy some of these older guys here. They're all kind of doing the same thing. And Kobe, that 96 tops chrome base and a PSA 9, continues to grind lower here. So it's a boring decline. If you buy it, it's like, all right, be prepared for some lower prices. But there's probably other things to do that look more interesting at this point here. It's a narrow range. It's a boring range. It's just going to be a slow grind. You can boil that frog. All right, Tiger Woods, for some reason, Because why not? Also coming into a previous reference point. It's done this in the past, right? And so nothing says it can't come down to this $50 area or something like that. But it just kind of stair-stepping its way down. So again, bottom of the range is kind of your target on that one if that's what you are looking for. All right, and we'll wrap it up with just a couple of things from the real world that may have a effect on, well, on the hobby, sure, but real world, real life stuff too. Maybe you ought to learn something while you're here. So, anyways, Federal Reserve this week raised interest rates up another 75 basis points, and what they are trying to do is they're looking at the Phillips curve. This is a theory that was put back, decades ago, and what it says is higher interest rates equals less inflation, basically. If you employment, so if you have higher unemployment and then inflation. Let me start that part over here. When you have it's early. All right, give me a break here. All right, I've got football in the mind. It's Saturday, for crying out loud. All right, as unemployment trends higher, then you have lower inflation. So it's kind of a sick principle. There did have some tracking, up until like the 80s, but it's more divergent than anything at this point here. And so what they want is they want more people not working. Okay. And then what you get is lower inflation. So they're raising the rates up, and what they're hoping for is the employment level to drop off. And they got their wish on Friday, basically. So 400,000 people lost their full-time jobs. You had a couple 100,000 people pick up shorter-term, part-time positions, and so it's like, well, that's destructive. So hobby-wise, it's like, well, 400,000 people, maybe some of those people collect cars and now they don't have a job. It's like, well, that's kind of a problem here. And so they're trying to fine-tune this where they want to tick the unemployment rate up to 4.5% or something like that. Then they'll stop their rate increases because they figure that will stop inflation. If we look at the unemployment rate, however, we're at kind of a juncture where unemployment in percentage terms it does tend to bottom, but how are you going to raise it up to 4.5% and then stop? It's like, no, it tends to go parabolic there. So there's some longer term concerns here. These are these same people that They couldn't predict massive inflation with all of their monetization. They thought it might be transitory, and now they're raising rates in the face of a recession. It's like, well, that's idiotic for the most part. I don't know what they're doing, if they're trying to cover their butts or something like that. Mostly they were allowed to liquidate all of their assets without penalty a little over a year ago, and they're out of the market, and I think they want lower prices. They don't give a damn anymore. And so they don't care who they hurt on this one, even with their backwards theories at this point. So again, yeah, they're going to keep raising those rates until that employment number gets worse. And again, it's about, it's at a nice level here, but as they try to collapse that, where how many times do we see a little move in a stopping point? It's like, no, that's significant. And so the higher, every point of higher unemployment has actual consequences for people in the economy here in terms of really, the bottom line is suicides and things of that nature. They really start to that's the trend they should be looking at when they're doing this kind of stuff here. So they are destructive. They are clueless at this point. And the news this week was actually decently received by the markets. Again, with the unemployment news that a lot of people lost their jobs. Like, well, maybe the Fed will stop. And you're starting to hear some chatter from these people saying, all right, maybe we need to take a step back and see if these policies are having the intended effect, which is like, yeah, about time. So we'll see if we can get some sanity to creep in, but I am not betting on that. So anyways, that's what we got for you. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.